How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Monsters. This is Season 2, Episode 16, and this one's entitled Perchance to Dream. It originally aired February 4th, 1990, directed by Paul Boyingyon, and stars Raphael Sbarge, Sarah G. Buxton, and Kenneth Danziger. And if you guys know my reviews for the past Season 2 episodes, Season 2 did get a little bit cheaper. We got several bottle episodes, several cheap one-room sets, and I was a little concerned about the direction of the show. But I think we know where the entirety of Season 2's budget went. This episode, they just decided to give us a full-on Nightmare on Elm Street episode. Okay, not literally part of the series, but embodying that style. They do go into the dream world in this episode. There's a bunch of surrealism. There's a bunch of special effects. This episode went crazy. Like, this is probably the best episode of the season so far. It was really, really cool to see this. I loved going into the dream world. I loved the fancy shots they pulled off, like when you go in and the camera's just zooming and spinning around and going by all these bizarre things. And the dream world has some cool ideas as well. Some comically big things, some weird perspective stuff, floating in and out of different memories. And yeah, the dream world is fun. It's a little bit disjointed, a little surreal, a little bizarre, and it's honestly one of the better surrealist depictions of the dream world. I honestly really hate when you go into a dream world in movies and it's not bizarre enough. And here, we really are bizarre, and we really just kick it up a notch with the special effects. Miniature works and comping, and okay, there are some bad green screen moments, and there are some cheesy, dumb moments in this episode. But that being said, the last episode we had a silly little hand puppet. This is much, much more budget, you know? And yeah, we're dealing with early 90s TV. Not everything's gonna look good, but oh my gosh, did they put in the effort here. It was really fun. And I know what some people say, do nightmare characters count as monsters? I guess it's close enough. Yeah, it's not your standard monster, but you know what? I don't care. It gave us a weird nightmare episode, and I honestly really love this one, and I definitely recommend it. And I'm pretty sure this is my favorite of the season so far, and probably one of my favorites of the entire series. I love dream world stuff, and this episode was just super ambitious and super fun. So yeah, highlight of the season for sure. But I guess in order to analyze it further, let's dive in. I'll take a few looks at specific plot points. I'll try to focus primarily on setup, and I'll try to avoid the ending. So no major spoilers, but let's dive into a deeper analysis. We open up with an opening shot that is honestly stellar. It's a miniature, and it's flying over the street, and it goes into this guy's dorm room. It's honestly a lot like the Tales from the Crypt opening, and it's just saying, hey, here's an opening shot that tells you this episode is special. And then we meet this guy, and he's studying late at night when a book, on dreams of course, jumps at him like a dog. The page is opening and closing like a mouth, and it's a fun, cool image, and the way the guy reacts to it, where he's startled but not entirely surprised, is a clue as to what we're dealing with here. The girlfriend comes in, and she sees it too, and she says, look, I see it, so it's not just a dream. This is actually happening. And he says, what if you're a dream too? Which I like that they address that early on. If they address it, then you know it's not going to be the twist of the episode. Anyway, the girlfriend runs off to get the professor, because of course the professor can help, right? And he has a vision of the mean nun from his childhood, and we actually get the hand punching through the window and swatting at him with a giant ruler. That is cool, fun dream imagery. That is something like out of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, Obviously, you can tell it's just a green screen effect, but I don't care. This is fun, and it's cool. Anyway, when the professor gets there, he sees nothing at first. It disappears, only to reappear again a second later for a fun little jump scare. And yeah, dream monsters, you gotta lay a low profile if you don't want to get found out. But the professor says certain cultures believe the dream world was a real place that you actually went to, and that something in his head is causing it to seep into our world. And that's when we find out the story. This guy was mugged at a subway, and during the robbery, he not only got mental trauma, but physical trauma as well when he was pushed into a wall. The injury to his head has kept him from sleeping for about 2 weeks now, and that's why his nightmares are coming into the real world. The dreams aren't suppressing his negative emotions, and now we're getting psychic leakage. A cool enough idea, and we will get that subway train imagery appearing throughout the episode. Well, a giant crack opens up in his wall, a literal portal to the dream world. Professor's gonna stick his face in it because of course that's what you do. And the professor says, you need to go into the dream world and find out what's going on. And in the dream world, there'll be a way to stop it. So, into the further you go. Yeah, they actually go into the dream world on a monster's budget. That's really cool. I will say, he does throw in this thing about maybe you'll meet your doppelganger there. It's not a doppelganger episode, don't get too excited for that, but you'll understand what he means later. And I don't want to talk too much about the dream world segment, I'll leave that up to your surprise, but I will say, the first thing we see after as I hinted at earlier, really fun transition to the dream world, we do get to see like giant versions of his childhood toys and some are floating. It's cool, it's dreamlike, and tying it into the character's past, much like with the train stuff and with the nun stuff. But there is, that being said, we see the cool floating toys, but then we get some bad forced dialogue where he's like, "Number 2 pencils, I always use these. Crayons, I loved crayons as a child." When you get him talking about specific toys and then getting to these super generic statements like they're revolutionary, okay, that was not the best lines, and I kind of wonder if they weren't in the script but the set department put them in there like, improvise a line really quick. I don't know. We all have number 2 pencils. It's no big deal. Anyway though, I will say the rest of the Dreamworld stuff is really fun, really cool, surrealist imagery, and just fun dream sequences. If you guys like dream stuff like Dreamscape or Nightmare on Elm Street, go check this episode out. It's super fun, it's surreal, it's special effects heavy, it's the best episode of the season. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Monsters playlist. If you guys want to see me talk about more Monsters episodes, you should be able to find them there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.